over 55 years, your source for agribusiness news and features from around the Southeast and across the country, focusing on one of the nation's top industries, agriculture. The Farm Monitor is produced by the Georgia Farm Bureau in association with Abraham Baldwin Agricultural College.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Farm Monitor. I'm Jennifer Parson. You might notice things look a little different. My co-host Ray DeLessio isn't on set with me, but nonetheless, he'll be along shortly with a special report. As always, we've got a packed show with the latest updates and stories impacting Georgia agriculture. So let's get right into it. Coming up, a story that hits close to home for so many in agriculture. Join Ray as he takes us to Statesboro, where voices from across Georgia came together for the Farm Stress Summit, a powerful event aimed at breaking the silence and offering hope. Also on the show, protecting the tools farmers rely on, how a new bill could ensure their access to critical crop technologies. And then later, see the one-of-a-kind facility in Hall County that's giving students a head start in the meat processing industry and catching the attention of ag leaders nationwide. These stories and so much more starting now on the Farm Monitor. For many farmers, stress is just part of the job, but there's another side of farming that doesn't get talked about enough: mental health. That's where the Farm Stress Summit comes into play. Held annually, the event brings together farmers, mental health professionals, and ag leaders to tackle the growing crisis head-on. This year, the Monitor's Ray DeLessio traveled to Statesboro to learn firsthand how the ag community is coming together to break the silence.
Jennifer, thank you very much. You know, when we think of farming, we often picture hard work, resilience, and long hours in the fields. But what's less visible is the toll it takes, not just physically, but yes, mentally. For years, mental health in agriculture was a topic left unspoken, overshadowed by a culture of toughness and self-reliance. Well, now that silence is breaking, and the Farm Stress Summit stands as a testament to a growing movement, one that acknowledges the mental well-being of those who feed the world.
Our state can't be successful if agriculture is not successful, and agriculture can't be successful if farm families and farmers themselves aren't successful. And part of that success is ensuring that when they deal with issues related to even things like mental health, that they know that there's resources available for them to tap into to continue to work through that and be successful themselves.
You know, we're really fortunate that Georgia Cooperative Extension is such a robust organization, but as I travel across the state, we're in a difficult time. With the effects of the hurricane, this is a time for us to come together and support our agricultural communities.
And while progress has been made, the need for awareness remains urgent. According to the CDC, farmers are one of the most at-risk groups when it comes to suicide, with rates nearly 2 to 5 times higher than the national average.
So a lot of times when we talk to farm families, whether it's a brother, a son, a daughter, a wife, is that to make sure to pay attention that the farmer doesn't isolate themselves, because connectivity is the key. We want people to connect to each other. So don't be afraid to ask the hard questions. You know, I always talk to, my dad's a farmer, and we always talk about the fact that he can be the mechanic, the accountant, the entrepreneur. He's doing all the things on the farm by himself. There's people that can help with that. A lot of times they don't want to ask people for help, but letting them know, hey, we're here to help you, whether it's somebody that you trust or somebody else, just having those conversations is really helpful.
Yeah, when it's all said and done, this summit is about more than just awareness. It's about action. It's about letting farmers know they are not alone, that there are resources out there, and most importantly, that it's okay to talk about what they're going through. Much more to come from this year's Farm Stress Summit later in the show, but for now, in Statesboro, I'm Ray DeLessio. Jennifer, we'll send it back to you.
All right, Ray, looking forward to it. Meantime, farmers depend on herbicides and pesticides to grow the crops we need, but access to those tools has been at risk. Now, a new bill passed by the General Assembly aims to protect that access. John Holcomb has the story.
Each and every day, farmers and producers across the country work to produce the food and fiber we all need and depend on, with tools they need and depend on. And thanks to lawmakers in Atlanta, those tools are one step closer to being protected by state law, as Senate Bill 144 has passed through the General Assembly and is now headed to the governor's desk.
It's a labeling bill, and we're basically, we've got a failure to warn clause in there, and we're just saying that, the manufacturers of products cannot put anything on the label other than what EPA allows them to put on the label, who at the end of the day is the final say-so. They're the ones that do the research on top of what the manufacturers are doing to make sure products are safe. And so it's truly a labeling bill. The label is the law, and the EPA is in control of that, and the federal government. And so we're just, stating that in the bill, and it's just a failure to warn clause. And that the EPA is the final say-so in that.
Though the bill only addresses labels, it assures farmers they'll continue to have vital access to technologies they depend on.
Currently, there is only one manufacturer of glyphosate in the United States, and so they've obviously had difficulties with this failure to warn claim. And so obviously when you start talking about food security, food safety, and farmers' livelihoods, trait technology is an important tool that we have in our toolbox as farmers, and we couldn't farm without all of the trait technologies and the use of herbicides, insecticides, pesticides in general.
Watson, who's a producer himself, says these tools are essential to their operations now more than ever, as rising costs require them to be as efficient as possible, something that wouldn't be the case without those trait technologies.
I'm more on the vegetable side, and we have to use a lot of hand labor. H2A just went up another $2 an hour, and so we use herbicides to help control weeds in our crops. So it became an issue of, is this product going to be around for the future generations to use? And then we're going to have this tool in the toolbox. Because if you go to your local hardware store or your local Home Depot or Lowe's, I don't think you're going to find glyphosate on the shelf because it's been removed from the shelf. That active ingredient has already been removed. And so that's where the fear from agriculture came, that what else is going to come off the shelf.
Beyond protecting American agriculture, Watson believes the bill also safeguards American manufacturing and ultimately national security.
The Chinese manufacture a lot of these products, and if we have to buy it from the Chinese to feed Americans and to stay in business, then we're probably going to get it from the Chinese. And when there's a problem, how do you go after someone in another country? We want to make sure that we protect American manufacturing. And especially American manufacturing of these products.
Reporting in Atlanta for the Farm Monitor, I'm John Holcomb.
Still to come, a powerful voice with a mission to heal. How one military veteran and farm owner is using her own journey to help spread hope across Georgia. But first, what's this? A state-of-the-art meat processing facility run by students? See how one Georgia community is tackling a workforce crisis while at the same time feeding its own.
You can't be a veteran and not understand or not witness mental health crises. We've got to equip everybody with the tools to be able to navigate life, whether it's on the farm, whether it's in schools, whether it's at home. So we start planting the seed in the farmer and in the veteran, and then we go to their families, because what happens to them happens to them. And to be able to give them all the tools to be able to see themselves in a better place. My children are great. The two that come from me and the next generation down all understand that we are powerful in our own right. Our motto is grow, teach, and repeat. That is how we operate. That is what we will do. I feel like that's my mandate. They are our brothers and sisters out of uniform. And sometimes they've been in uniform. We've got to reach them.
Well, welcome back to the Farm Monitor and welcome back to the 2025 Farm Stress Summit. Ray DeLessio coming to you from Statesboro, Georgia. And joining me now is the incredible lady at the forefront of the story you just saw, Dr. Connie Baptiste, who, of course, was this year's keynote speaker. And I've got my phone out for a reason, Miss Connie. That's because your accolades are like numerous. So I needed some notes here. Let me run these down. Dr. Connie Baptiste, again, fourth generation farmer, owner of Hunter Family Farms, Air Force veteran, 2023 Woman Veteran of the Year, 2024 Department of Agriculture Mental Health Hero. We could actually do a whole show on you. But thank you so much for joining. What was your message again? We saw you giving your keynote speech in there. What was the message that you really wanted to convey to the people in attendance today?
I wanted people to realize that stress, again, was not a four-letter word, and that they could manage it by just using Air Force terms or military terms, the acronyms, to take the scary out of stress and make it something that was theirs, that resonated with them, and that gave it a positive light.
And I mentioned you're a fourth generation farmer. You've seen both sides of the table. And we talked about this before, you and I, how there is such a parallel between farmers and military personnel and veterans. The suicide rates, those two groups are, I believe, the highest in the country as far as suicide rates. How do we get the message out to both the military and to farmers? It's okay to be not okay.
Yes. It runs on both sides of the scale. Veterans will talk more to veterans than they will civilians, and farmers are the same way. If you have no skin in the game, they will listen and respect you, but as a farmer, they feel like you know personally what they're going to, and they don't have to code switch.
One thing I forgot to mention is you actually have a farm that's in a development processes, if I'm correct. Yes. And it is going to be kind of a sanctuary, I believe, for military veterans. Why are we seeing more and more retired military turning to agriculture?
We do the same things. It is the discipline of getting up every morning, of giving. What a lot of people don't think about is both careers are service-oriented. Veterans serve. We do what we do because we believe in the good in America. Mm-hmm. Farmers plant, they harvest, they produce cattle and other livestock because they believe in the good in America. So we have that same discipline. We have that same service mentality that we serve not because we have to, but because it is who we are at our core.
And let me tell you, this lady, she is in demand here. Everybody wanting to take pictures with her. So I'm going to let you get back to doing that. That is going to wrap it up from the 2025 Farm Stress Summit in Statesboro. I'm Ray DeLessio. Jennifer, we'll go ahead and send it back to you.
All right, Ray, thanks so much. Well, a shortage of workers remains the biggest challenge for meat and poultry processors nationwide, in turn slowing production and driving up food prices. But as Damon Jones shows us, students in Hall County are getting hands-on experience thanks to a brand new state-of-the-art facility.
Some of the top agricultural leaders, not just in the state, but the entire country, were on hand to get a first-hand look at this new student-run meat processing facility at the Hall County Agribusiness Center. It's a brand new space with top-of-the-line equipment that, needless to say, left everyone very impressed.
If we could just take this and multiply it across this country, there'd be a lot of young people that have a different appreciation for the food and how it gets to their grocery store. And you know what? When your children learn about it, they teach their parents about it. So it's really a fantastic facility, and what a way to really let people start their life knowing where their food comes from and how valuable it is to them and how difficult sometimes it is to get it there.
That's especially true with meat processing, as a lack of operations, especially in smaller communities, was the idea behind this 3-year project.
One of the things that we believe here locally is that we are in the middle of a crisis in terms of our protein supply, that it has become all multinational. And so with some support of some key leaders in the state of Georgia and the usage of some COVID funding, we have brought a fully operational commercial processing plant that students and their teacher run here in Gainesville, Georgia.
And for the most part, this facility serves as a closed, self-sustainable operation, as all of the meat coming through is both locally sourced and consumed.
We raise the animals in the community. We get our hogs from the University of Georgia. We process it here locally, and then it goes back into this community. We are the largest food supplier in the Hall County proper, which is a community of about 240,000 people, but we serve 25,000 meals a day in our local school food service programs. So a lot of the ground beef, a lot of the pork will go right back into school food lunches. We also have sales for local individuals. We do custom work for local farmers. So what we process here, 99% of it gets consumed in Hall County.
However, the impact of this program will be felt far beyond the Hall County borders, as it will provide a much-needed boost to the agricultural workforce.
Kids think they all got to go to college and get a 4-year degree, and that's wonderful. We need people to do that. But there's so many opportunities out there, well-paying opportunities for people to go in different directions and do the work that this country has been developed on and built on, work that you do with your hands and your brain. And this is a good way to introduce kids into all the different opportunities and job careers in agriculture.
We've got a Board of Education, we've got a community that wants young people to know that agribusiness, at least in Georgia, especially in Hall County where 70% of our GDP is agribusiness, that agribusiness absolutely is an economic engine, and we better appreciate it because we all sit down at the table every night and we take advantage of the bounty that agribusiness produces for us.
Reporting from Gainesville, I'm Damon Jones for the Farm Monitor.
When we come back, they're stepping out of the dark and into the spotlight. See how one Ella farm is growing these culinary delights while inviting the public to learn all about it.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jason Scott, and my favorite place is the ABAC Teaching Forest. I love bringing my labs out here. I do it every chance I get, and it's such a great outdoor classroom. The forest is just shy of 1,000 acres, and it's not just that it's 1,000 acres, it's the quality of those acres that matter. The diversity of habitats out here is spread amongst sandhill habitats like we have that we're standing on here. And we also have wetland habitats that's actually got great potential for waterfowl management. And then we also have industrial forest habitats in upland sites that are perfect for our forestry classes. I was just out here yesterday with my ag education class where we talk about wildlife management principles, and we were exploring the habitats out here looking for wildlife sign. And it was such a wonderful experience to have a place like this to come where we don't have all the activity of the normal ABAC campus. We have a little bit quieter atmosphere out here, and the amount of wildlife sign we saw was amazing. I've never had a lab where we talked about and looked for wildlife sign where we saw so many different animal signs. We saw evidence of skunk, so maybe that's good or not for you, depending, but I loved it. We also saw possum tracks, lots of deer tracks. We saw bobcat tracks and scat. We also saw evidence of fox and coyote. It was an amazing lab. Another lab that we like to do out here at the school forest every fall is my senior wildlife students come out here and use a camera survey to estimate the deer herd. And it's a big deal every fall, and it's run in a setup with like this, where we have a post with a camera, and we then pre-bait with some corn down here, and then the students get to, in lab, go through all the pictures from 10 different stations just like this, and they actually come out with an estimate of the deer herd, and we talk about the value of it, and it's hands-on. It doesn't get any more real than that. All of us professors bring our classes out here. You can see some of the evidence on the trees behind me where we've used it for our fire ecology class, conducting actual live burns with our students. And it's wonderful to be able to come out here with students and show them the impacts on the habitat as a result of fire. And it's just a wonderful experience. That's why I love coming out here. It's just one of those all-inclusive experiences that we just can't get elsewhere.
Finally this week, sure, North Georgia is well known for things like great hiking and wineries, but for those looking for something a little more unique, check out Ellijay Mushrooms. Damon Jones shares their story and how they're strengthening a community.
Known as the fungus among us, mushrooms are one of the most versatile ingredients to any dish. And this farm in Ellijay is looking to get them out of the dark and into the spotlight here in Georgia by inviting the public out to see exactly what goes into growing these culinary delicacies.
Well, we started our agritourism with our farm shop, which is open Thursday to Sunday, which allows people to come to our You Pick flowers and also come check out these amazing mushrooms that our team grows. And getting them out here and going in the greenhouses allows them to kind of figure out what is a mushroom farm and what do we do here.
What they'll see is plenty of hard work and attention to detail, as growing 3 different types of mushrooms requires proper timing and constant attention each and every day of the year.
So the logs takes about 7 to 14 days, and then they start growing pins. After they start growing pins, they start growing fully every day. So we harvest about 3 flush a day. So every morning we have to harvest. Once they're fully open, you can tell that's when we need to harvest. If they're not fully open, we can leave them, wait till tomorrow. They'll eventually grow big.
Growing big is exactly what their client list has been doing over the past few years as they ship these mushrooms all over the region. However, despite their initial success, Ellijay Mushrooms is still looking to expand in a big way.
We currently sell to Whole Foods in the South, Ingles, Michelin star restaurants. We sell to all the restaurants in Ellijay and in Blue Ridge. All over the eastern seaboard. We're trying to keep growing. We're looking for more opportunities every day. For us to make this farm work, we need more volume. Currently, we grow 5,000 pounds a week. We'd love to double that or even triple that.
That would not only help the business, but the community as a whole, as providing both good jobs and opportunity to those within the area is one of the main goals for this family-run operation.
It's the thing that drives us, because if we didn't have our community, we wouldn't be able to do what we do, meaning that if we don't have any employees, we couldn't harvest the mushrooms, and mushrooms don't sleep, so we need everybody. So every dollar spent goes right back into our community, meaning that we can hire more young men and women in our community and give them opportunity to grow as well, like our mushrooms.
While it's not easy starting up your own business or growing mushrooms, it is a decision Burke doesn't regret one bit.
We've had a lot of trial and error, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of scratching our head, but it's been very rewarding to figure out all those challenges and to be able to feed people good, healthy, organic mushrooms. It might sound silly, but every day you go into the greenhouse and you see these little fellows just popping up. It still makes me happy every time I see one, even though they don't sleep and they have to be harvested even at 3 o'clock on a Sunday. It's still very rewarding knowing that we're growing great food for people to eat and consume.
Reporting from Ellijay, I'm Damon Jones for the Farm Monitor.
Before we go, friendly reminder that for all the latest ag news regarding food, recipes, and what's happening on Georgia farms, be sure you check out all of our social media platforms, including farm-monitor.com. For everyone here at the show, I'm Jennifer Parson. Take care, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon for yet another Farm Monitor. Have a great week.